Hey, Mike and Mike here from Adventure Riding TV. Thank you for joining us on another adventure. Wauchope, I think, is one of the best places in the whole world for dirt bike riding. It's some of the best riding I've ever done there. We're going to do a 300k loop around Wauchope with a mate of ours, Mick, who lives up that way. Looking forward to it.
In this video, we've got a secret for you. Wauchope, New South Wales, I think, is dirt bike riding heaven. This place has got amazing views, awesome trails with heaps of variety. There's muddy water crossings, challenging hill climbs, beautiful rainforests, and for this ride, loads of great forestry trails. See, we've ridden up here before. In fact, one of our first videos ever published on the site was up around this area. And I can specifically remember being stuck at the bottom of a gully full of mud and having my mate Mick fill me in. But more on that later. As we're getting older, we're not really as able to recover from extreme enduro riding as quickly as we used to. Our bodies just don't seem to handle it as well. My wife keeps telling me that it could be the beer, but I don't think so. Now, this doesn't mean that we don't do this enduro riding, because, you know, boys will always be boys, and if you've got the riding fever, it doesn't ever leave you. Even when we're supposed to be grown men, we can still get ourselves into all sorts of trouble. And yes, I am referring to the beer and the riding here. You see, one of the things we've learned is that adventure riding doesn't tire you out quite as quickly, which leaves more energy for bench racing at the end of the day, and for drinking beer. So therefore it's always good. So when the chance to head out on adventure rides comes up, we're all in. It's not every day you get to spend 3 or 4 days twisting throttles. Now, no matter what type of riding you do, it's a great feeling to end the day at the pub with your mates, having a cold beer and a good feed. Taking the piss out of each other's never been more fun, and there's always a few more stories to tell.
All right, we're going for a walk. One of the magical benefits of riding dirt bikes.
Well, today's story involved a pretty big crash. Mike and I called up our mate Mick to lead this ride because he knows Wauchope and its surrounds like the back of his hand. Plus, he's a pretty good bloke most of the time. Just don't get stuck at the bottom of a gully full of mud when you're behind him, that's all. Now, Mick's local buddy Toby, who's also from Wauchope, he was in for the weekend as well, and we all planned to ride for the day Saturday and spend the night at the pub in Bellbrook. We figured it was an awesome way to catch up with Mick and break up the ride we were doing from Sydney to Lismore. So, 8 AM in Wauchope, we cracked into it, filled up with fuel, and we were off. Now, the morning saw some beautiful trails, and after stopping off at a beautiful viewing spot mid-morning, we were flying along some great roads and trails and chucked a left up a nice little track. It was a full throttle on the back wheel kind of a track, and there was a bunch of overhanging vines. These were the kind of vines that when you see them you think, oh shit, I could pull an unintended Tarzan here if I'm not careful. Or worse, they could pull my head off. Well, thankfully all of our heads remained attached, and there was definitely an unintended Tarzan moment. These vines grabbed a hold of Toby and ripped him clean off his bike. I was right behind him when it happened, and unfortunately I didn't have the GoPro on. It was a pretty big hit when he collided with the ground, and I was bloody worried about him. I was really grateful when he jumped up off the ground because it meant he was alive. Now, the aftermath, which a little bit is featured in the video, was that his bike suffered a cracked engine case, which we were able to repair with some quick steel, a broken foot peg, and bent handlebars. Never mind rattled rider. Now, Toby rode himself out of this spot, and not long after, he peeled off home for obvious reasons. So Mick, Mike and I then got on the gas and smashed another 140 kilometers to the pub. Awesome trails, good hills, a couple cool river crossings, and we were on it. We got to the pub before dark, and as soon as we got there, we cleansed our palates with a few golden ales that I don't think even touched the sides of our throats. Next thing we knew, Toby's truck pulls up the front of the pub. Full credit to him. He's had a big crash, he gets himself home, and then grabs his truck to come all the way back out and have a few beers with the boys anyways. That's what this is all about. Mateship. Making sure that the boys get to be boys and have some time out. It was a great day and a fantastic night with a couple of great lads. Thanks to Mick and Toby for hanging out with us and having a good time. We can't wait till the next one, boys. Now if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button below to make sure you get all our best content. There's some great videos coming up soon of all sorts of adventures, including a trip to the Kimberley in northern Western Australia. Thanks for being a part of the Adventure Riding TV community, and we'll see you in the next video.